You alright everyone? Hope everybody is all good, right? So video today on what do we do when the diet phase is over. So we spent all this time dropping off the body fat, obviously eating in a deficit, cardio, training, all set up through the deficit. What do we do when it's done, right? Now, there's not really a lot of information out there about this. Everyone loves to talk about what we do on a fat loss phase and then what we do on a bulk. But this little transition period, it's quite important to get this right. And there's not really a lot of information out there about how to navigate around it and what really to expect. So I'm making this video to help anyone who gets stuck in limbo with this, who's someone who might be self-coaching or they come into this stage the first time that they ever went through this and you don't know what to expect. I want to make this video so you can watch this and feel at ease and revert back to this when even if someone who's a little bit more experienced, when you're reversing out at the end of a cut, these are the things to look out for, and this is a smart strategy to go about reversing out to then set you up for the building phase. Now, that's why it's so key. It's that transition. You've just finished the diet, you've done all that hard work, the couple of weeks in between raising calories, people can mess this up and they can really undo 4 to 6 weeks of hard work that they've done in the cut. You can undo that within 1 to 2 weeks of just doing the wrong things. I've seen it happen, so that's why you've got to get this phase right. So I've got a couple of the main things to look out for and some of the main things that we're going to go about it in this phase, just to set yourself up properly for the building phase, right? So the first thing you want to do once you finish your cut, raise your calories to maintenance. That's number one. Raise your calories to maintenance for 2 to 4 weeks. So when you finish the cut, the last day of the cut is done. Job done. Smashed it. You don't go right into a surplus. That's mistake number one. The body's not ready to go right into a surplus right away. I wouldn't do that. And the other mistake that people make is that they try and reverse diet out, where they just add 50 calories each week to get to maintenance, and it takes them about 10 weeks to get to maintenance. Now for me, that's just wasted time. The diet's done. You're not losing any more body fat. We get nothing out of being too slow, adding 50 calories a week. Get yourself to baseline. Get yourself back to baseline in terms of maintenance calories and stick there for a couple of weeks. As I say, the diet's done. We want to kickstart the recovery process and get ourselves ready to grow. Not just physically and mentally, but from a hormonal profile as well. Just getting your calories right to maintenance and sticking it for a couple of weeks. That's going to be far more beneficial than just ramping up 50 calories each week or going right into an aggressive surplus. So let's just say someone was dieting on 1900 calories. That's where you finish the deficit. You're happy with your leanness. Now let's say your maintenance is 2600. Spot on. You just raise to 2600 and you stick there for 2 to 4 weeks. Whether it's 2 or 4 weeks will depend on the individual. But what you're looking for, you're looking to get your body weight to a stable place where it's initially going to jump up a couple of pounds, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But for those first 2 to 4 weeks, you bump your calories up, and then you want to get your body weight into just a stable body weight where it stays pretty similar for a week or two when you look at your average. You want to get there for the first couple of weeks, and then you're ready to start layering in calories. But you don't start going right into an aggressive surplus. Maintenance for a couple of weeks, and then you're going to be good to go. So, as I say, 0.50 calories each week. It's too slow. Get yourself back to baseline, right? Important to note at this stage as well, this point here, when you're reversing out, you're going to be hungry, right? Your hunger signaling is going to be very high, right? You just finished a deficit. Your body is going to laugh at 2600 calories. It will probably want to be 3600 calories, but this is where you've got to have the control. This is where it's a very sensitive stage, so to speak. If you get this right, you set yourself up, right? Set yourself up for a better building phase. But if you blow this phase, you don't do a lot of hard work, as I've just said. So you're going to be hungry, so you want to eat similar foods that you were eating when you were dieting, right? So the main, see these here, when you go from 1900 to 1600, your protein and fat is probably going to stay pretty similar. You're not going to change much of that. That extra increase of calories is going to come from carbs, right? So you're going to be hungry, so eating similar foods that you were eating on the diet, just makes sense. So the similar carbohydrate sources that you were eating when you were dieting, you're going to eat more of them. So I imagine if you're smart and you've watched a couple of my old videos, foods that you want to be eating when you're in a diet phase, high voluminous foods, high volume, low calorie, things like your white potatoes, your fruits, especially frozen berries, all that stuff. So if you've got an extra 700 calories to play with, that's more white potatoes, more fruit, more high voluminous, low calorie stuff. Bring that in. Don't be bringing in here easy to eat foods, because then that negates the whole purpose of it. You're gonna make yourself even more hungrier. Just eat more of what you were eating when you were dieting for that first 2-4 weeks, reversing out, and you'll thank me later. So more high voluminous food. And an extra 600-700 calories to play with at this stage, even though you're hungry, it's a lot. And if you make it work correctly, you're going to be good to go. It's normal to be hungry. Don't give in to it. Just eat your allocated 2,600 or your maintenance calories and stick there. This hunger will begin to pass the longer that you spend that maintenance, and then as we get into the surplus, but you've just got to get through that initial bite of it, because it's normal. It's just your body trying to keep you safe. So the scale weight is going to come off a good 4 to 8 pounds. This always happens with everybody that I work with, and I always get the question. So let me explain what I explain to all my clients as well, right? So when you finish a diet, you are depleted. You are depleted of carbohydrates, glycogen. You've got no glycogen or carbohydrates stored in the body. Glycogen is stored throughout the muscles and the liver, right? Now I want you to imagine a balloon. So you know when we have a balloon and it's got no air, it's pretty soft, right? There's no air in it, it's soft. All of a sudden, when we blow air into the balloon, like that, what happens? The air, or the oxygen, whatever it is, expands against the balloon. Now imagine that's exactly what happens with your muscles. If you had it at the end of a diet when you start eating more carbs, and after a couple of days, all of a sudden, you just feel fuller. Just imagine your muscles are like balloons. Now all of the extra carbohydrates that you're eating is being digested and being stored as glycogen, because you're eating ample carbohydrates now. So glycogen gets pulled into the muscles all across the body. It starts getting stored in the liver again. Little bits of glycogen float in the bloodstream as well. So what tends to happen? Stored glycogen stores water weight. So if you've got all this glycogen now across your body that you didn't have when you were depleted, you've went from a deflated balloon and you're now full of carbs, so to speak. So you're full of carbs and you're full of water weight. So it's normal for your body to scale weight, depending on the size of the individual, anywhere from 4 to 8 pounds within that first initial 7 to 10 days of raising calories to maintenance, and it's just glycogen and water weight. It's not body fat, so don't panic. Expect an initial jump in that first week. Happens with everybody, so you need to look out for that and just don't panic, right? That's what's going to happen. Then once things start to stabilise after a couple of weeks, you've had your 2 to 4 weeks at maintenance, we're happy where scale weight is going, then you can add the 200 to 300 calories above your maintenance, and that's when you start your surplus phase. We don't come in adding 1,000 calories over your maintenance, just 200 or 300. Same principle, you add 200 to 300 over your maintenance, which might take you to 2,800, 2,900, in that range, and you let that settle for a couple of weeks, and you make your decisions whether you're gaining too fast, too slow. You make your decisions off that. But that's how you go about ramping your calories in that phase. Now, a couple of other things. Your steps and cardio will stay for the most part pretty similar. Two sides of the coin with this one. Big mistake people make is that, let's say someone's been hitting 12,000 steps and they've been hitting cardio once or twice a week. That's what they've done on the end of the cut. Now the cut finishes, all of a sudden their steps drop from 12,000 a day and they bring it down to 6,000. All of a sudden that's going to change your energy expenditure and your maintenance now, because your steps have dropped off. So it's important to keep your steps at a sort of baseline, right? You don't want to drop off your steps and your cardio too much to what you was doing at the end of a diet phase, unless, again, it's the caveat I've got here, unless your cardio and your steps were very, very, very high towards the end of a diet phase. There is some people, as they're getting towards the end of a diet phase, that they're having to get down 15 to 20,000 steps a day. That's a lot to stick with year round. So unless you were someone like that who was getting maybe 18,000 steps every single day, it's probably smart for you to start tapering your steps back down to 15, 12,000 and getting a baseline around there. But most people don't have to go that high on steps. But I had to throw that in there. But for the most part, you want to keep your expenditure and your steps, your cardio pretty similar to where you was at the end of a diet phase, just to keep your maintenance calories, your energy expenditure in, energy expenditure out, keeping them pretty similar so you can find your baseline, right? Couple of important points on lifting as well. Now, for the most part, your training sessions, they're not going to change drastically too much up front. In terms of your volume, you're not going to start just bringing in and pumping in extra volume just because you went to maintenance calories. That makes no sense. If your training stimulus was enough to maintain your muscle tissue on the way down, it's going to be decent enough for you for when you're reversing out. You don't need to start again just coming in, throwing the kitchen sink in terms of volume and things. Let that settle. What you can do, what can be smart, again, if you're working with a coach as well, or you've assessed your physique and you're noticing certain weak points or certain areas that you need to bring up for this building phase, what you can do, you can have some slight tweaks in your programming to address these weak points. So you can sit down with your coach or look at your programming yourself. You might change from I don't know whether you on a push pull leg split and you might go to upper lower. You might have weak biceps, so okay, well maybe we need to start front loading some bicep work at the start of our upper body sessions, and maybe we've got very, very strong triceps but weak biceps, okay, so maybe we can start to maybe pull a couple of sets away from our tricep work across the week, and we pull in and we add in maybe an extra 1 to 2 bicep sets just so we can try and direct a little bit more stimulus to biceps and pull away from a strong link. So these are a couple of tweaks that you can start to make at this phase, but you're not going to be coming in completely overhauling everything and just throwing the kitchen sink of volume and all this stuff and just revamping absolutely everything, because there's probably going to be no need for that. Smart, intelligent tweaks going off what your individual physique needs. So if you've got someone to help you with that, and this is the time to be making those changes, of course. But yeah, hopefully this video helps. Again, it's a weird phase, but I promise you, if you're patient with this and you get it right, it just sets you up in order, it's time to grow. Diet's done, you've got yourself to a good level of leanness, and now it's time to build and lay down some of the muscle tissue. But you get this phase right, it just sets you up. And it's just, again, just be patient with it. That's the key with it. People just want to start adding in calories excessively, just doing all mad shit right away. Just take your time, 2 to 4 weeks, let things settle. Don't be daft. You're going to have plenty of time for calories to be raised even more, and then you're getting that slight surplus. All right? Hopefully that helps. If anybody is interested in coaching and wants a good second pair of eyes on things, just drop me a message down below. Other than that, make sure you subscribe, like the video. I appreciate all the support that I'm getting. The Venezuela video that I posted the other week, it's really took off, so I appreciate all the support from everyone. Right, so drop some comments down below. Speak to you all in the next one, right?